Welcome to Everyday Economics. This is the podcast that helps you understand the economic world going on all around us. Everyday Economics is brought to you by the Center Square Newswire service. I'm Chris Krug. I'm publisher of the Center Square. Orphe Divounguy is my co-host and partner on the show. He's a PhD economist. Today is Monday, April 20th, and in this episode, we're talking about the American consumer, how they showed up in March, why the housing market hasn't cracked, and what could change that in the back half in the year could make this maybe a little bit different economic picture. We're going to put that into a 10-minute timer as we do on every episode so we can keep it crisp. Orphe, let's get into it. Hey, Everyday Economics column this week from you. Walk through two big consumer reports, March retail sales and pending home sales from the National Association of Realtors. Both showed a modest pickup from February. But you put a footnote to it. You said part of the retail sales gain reflects firmer prices and tax refund timing, not necessarily more real spending. So unpack that for me. Is the American consumer actually holding up, or are we mistaking firmer prices for real strength?
Yeah, of course, when prices go up, your total spend at the cash register also goes up. Right. And so it doesn't necessarily mean you're buying a bunch more stuff. Like, you're buying more goods and services. If you buy the same amount of stuff and the prices of that stuff went up, right, the total spend is higher. And so retail sales capture a little bit of that. Right. So they capture both the volume, but also the price increase. And so you could see an increase in the retail sale number, a nominal increase in the retail sale number, which is basically just caused by a price increase. At the same time, you have Americans potentially buying more stuff. And they would buy more stuff because, of course, they got some tax refunds. How much more stuff they're buying? That's a big question mark still, because we know that at the same time, oil prices increased and that a lot of people had to spend more at the pump, right? And so they probably had to, and they spend more at the pump because of the price increase. And so, we're not sure if there's a big increase in volume. When you look at the retail sale data and adjust it for inflation, well, it shows you essentially that volume is basically flat or declining, right? And that most of the uptick is coming from the fact that prices are rising. So that we're going to get an update on the retail sale number. I expect it to move up a little bit, but I don't expect it to show real strength in consumer spending, right, in volumes being purchased. And of course, that has implications for so many things, right? Especially, if you start with just businesses, right? If you're a business and you're not really seeing inventory moving all that much,
yeah,
right? You start to become a little concerned.
So, over the weekend, I made it into my local grocery store, same store, pretty much on the same routine, same day of the week, same time of the day, and you get to know some of the people in the store simply because you see them every week. A good friend of mine, who is a butcher at my local grocery store, just kind of out of left field, referenced the fact that, he typically has, a donation box of about a single box every week. And in the last 3 weeks, he's noticed that the size of that box, or the size of what would be otherwise spoilage that they donate, has increased to, like, in some cases, three boxes from one. So, I correspond that with the prices that I'm seeing at the grocery store and maybe the overall pressure. I don't know. Is it that's just a snapshot? One guy, one place, but in a very short period of time. It's absolutely not scientific, but might there be anything to that?
I think so. I think, you look at consumer spending data and you look at income growth. What you're seeing is a consumer that is increasingly squeezed. The consumer's still spending, just not spending at the same pace it used to be, it was spending at. It's kind of slowing things down.
Yeah.
It's also paying down a lot of debt, right? Consumers are having to keep up with other bills, right? The cost of debt has risen. And so, you're trying to keep up with credit card payments, auto loan payments, which are, you look at credit card and auto loan delinquency rates, they have increased, right? People are trying to keep up with the cost of everything. And now this oil price shock just made things worse. So that's what's going on. And so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, here's the number that surprised me in your column this week. Zillow's market report from March showed 281,000 plus newly pending listings, which would be the second highest monthly total since August 2022. That number's up over 4.5% from last year. It's up nearly 30% from February. The strongest March showing that we've seen since 2021, yet inflation pressure is real. Mortgage rates are still at or above 6, depending on where you live in the country. Affordability, which I think has unfortunately become a big buzzy political word, it's rough. I mean, it's rough. So why is the housing market having its strongest March in 5 years, at least in that regard, in that measured area?
Yeah, because, when you look at, you compare mortgage rates, the mortgage payment that a new buyer would face, if they bought the typical home in the U.S., it's actually down 4.4% from a year ago. And so...
There's not a whole lot to celebrate there, right? I mean...
Yeah, there's been a small improvement in housing affordability. And the small improvement in housing affordability came from a couple of places. The first place was we built like crazy during the pandemic. Thank God for that, right? There's been a big increase in supply, and you've seen that supply increase predominantly in the southern in the south, right? The South region, and right throughout the Sun Belt. And that's a beautiful thing. And it's also in those places that you've seen prices either stagnate or decline, right? And the price decline is actually good news for potential buyers. At the same time, over the past year, the mortgage rate has actually dipped roughly 60, 70 basis points. At the start of this year, it was down almost a full percentage point, right? 100 basis points in January. It's gone up a little bit since the war shock. However, it remains below year-ago levels. And so it's, more inventory combined with slightly more affordable housing, right, makes it conducive to people that were kind of on the sidelines for the last 3 years, right, to start getting antsy about moving again. Now, of course, we don't know if that's going to last because of all this uncertainty out there, because people have their bills are higher, because their other bills are higher, because the labor market has kind of stagnated, essentially, right? All of those factors could potentially cause some people to step themselves from moving in 2026. But yeah, newly pending listings, the highest of any March in a long time, right? Since August of 2022, I believe. Since 21.
That's
strongest since 21.
Yep, 5 years.
That's good news. But again, not all pending sales become closed sales, right? So we'll have to keep watching this, and hopefully, whatever's going on abroad that's causing oil prices to rise is going to get resolved sooner rather than later.
Yeah, the consumer who showed up in March is still kind of hanging in there. The consumer in the back half of the year is going to be a different conversation, and we'll be on it as that data comes in. Dr. O, thanks as always. Make sure you read Orphe's Everyday Economics column each Monday in the Center Square, and listen to what we have to say every weekend on the Center Square Radio Hour.